NTV.
This is Morning at NTV. Thank you very much for staying with us. My name is Romy Busuku, and of course I'm doing this with Malaki Villa. We are getting into our Kickstarter conversation for the day. Cabinet has backed the new all-level curriculum. So a week into its official implementation, the new curriculum is already feeling the backlash of the lawmakers. Only last week, Ministry of Education officials pushed back against the House resolution halting the implementation of the new lower secondary curriculum, asking lawmakers to reconsider their position right there. Now, as the new curriculum laced with drastic changes such as making agriculture optional, yet the sector employs 75% of Uganda's population. However, even with all this, Cabinet has backed the implementation of the new curriculum, and according to the Curriculum Development Center, all they need is over 130 billion Uganda shillings to implement the curriculum over a 5-year period. They are already short by over 10 billion for this year. This morning we interrogate the standoff and also have someone to explain to us how we got ourselves in a shiny new curriculum that no one seems to understand. Mr. John Okumu, a curriculum specialist at the National Curriculum Development Center, will be joining us after we play this short video for you to understand this conversation.
After Parliament called for a suspension of the new lower secondary school curriculum, the National Curriculum Development Center reveals that all is set for its implementation. The NCDC Director Grace Baguma says training and monitoring of the curriculum will be continuous in line with advice by Parliament.
There is no rush at all. We have been preparing and planning, and indeed we have the documentation that prepared us to go there. And that is why when the time came, we went to train the teachers. And we are training the teachers, and I said that the teacher training is going to be continuous.
What this new curriculum does is to train the head, the heart, and the hands. Unfortunately, what has been happening in the past curriculum is that the head is the one that has been getting a lot of knowledge. Many children today have a lot of head knowledge and have very, very limited knowledge about values and about skills.
However, Baguma dismissed any suggestion that they were acting in contempt of Parliament when they decided to go ahead with the syllabus. She explained that the parliamentary resolution is only advisory.
We belong to the executive. The executive is governed by cabinet and others. The angle is there. Parliament is advisory and has advised, and we have taken the advice. And when we took the advice, we moved on.
Parliament was aware because they even appropriated funds, 3 billion shillings towards the lower secondary curriculum.
She later admitted that the National Curriculum Development Center budget for implementation is short by 29 billion shillings.
So far, we have been given 10.3 billion, and we are asking for some more money to continue. For how much more? We are asking for about 29 billion more.
Under the new curriculum, the number of subjects being studied has been reduced from 41 to 21 in Senior 1. Apart from extending the training period for teachers learning how to implement the new curriculum, the NCDC says all is set with textbooks which have already been sent to schools. The monitoring and implementation of the syllabus takes immediate effect. Ali Mevole, NTV.
Thank you, Ali Mivule, for that wonderful report. Now, Mr. Okumu, thank you for joining us. Very good morning.
You're welcome.
Now, this new O-level curriculum was suspended by Parliament. You went ahead adamantly to just continue to roll out with this new curriculum. But the Parliament is saying you do not have adequate information or the resources to kick off the curriculum. Anyway, in your own words, are you ready?
Thank you, Romeo, and thank you, viewers. Yes, we are ready to roll out the new curriculum. And we are not going to base our decision on what Parliament said. One, because we can never be 100% ready. When our dear president went to the bush, he went with only 27 guns to fight a government which had hundreds of thousands of guns. So no one can ever be ready 100%. At the time we have reached, at the point we are now, we are ready to have the curriculum rolled out to all the schools. Now, I think what Parliament has to do, as the lawmakers and those that appropriate funding is simply to recommend more funding to NCDC so that we can effectively roll out this curriculum, because all our learners in the country need a curriculum which can help them live a decent living, unlike this current curriculum where they just cram for the sake of knowing things which do not benefit them. So we are not against the Parliament. We simply take the advice of Parliament, and those gaps that do exist in implementation, we shall fix them as we move on. Sometimes the boat makers say you cannot know where the boat can leak from unless when you put it in water. So that is when you can fix those gaps which are bringing in water. Likewise, we shall be fixing the gaps that exist in the curriculum as we move on.
Mr. Kumbu, you hinted on the 1981 revolution that was mounted by Mr. Museveni with only 27 guns, but that war was only a success because the citizens were involved. Now, in the case of the NCDC curriculum, experts contend that the people, the citizens, were not actually involved in the process, consulted in that case. What do you make of that? And that's why Parliament halted the whole process.
Well, no one can deceive you that can go out there to consult every individual Ugandan. We have consulted those organizations that represent the Ugandans. We consulted Parliament. The committee that is responsible for education was ably consulted several times. And in March last year, I remember very well, we moved to Chankwanze when the NRM had their caucus there, and we presented the curriculum and proposed that we are rolling out this curriculum in 2020. And unfortunately, no MP raised a question over that. So the consultations were done. We consulted the teachers. We consulted other organs, the DEOs were consulted. We consulted the vice chancellors of all private and public universities, and they gave us a go-ahead. They made a very big contribution towards this curriculum. So we have been consulting. We consulted the publishers and so many other groups, and we are continuing to consult.
The problem with that consultation, according to the experts, is that you're consulting the elite, the people, the small cocoons, the small cabal, and not the entire population, the people who are actually paying the school fees for the students to come and study this new curriculum.
Oh no. When we are consulting, we do not categorize the groups that we consult. We do not categorize that these are elites, these are non-elites. And I remember before we embarked on the exercise of the building of the curriculum, we visited the people across the country, trying to find out what type of problems they were facing, because a country's curriculum has to be designed to provide a solution to the problems that are eminent in a country. I remember we moved to a place in eastern Uganda, around Palisa there, and we reached a home where they were using an anthill as a place of convenience, right? So we have interacted with the common people. Although not every person has to be consulted in this matter.
Let's take a look at the people you consulted, especially the parliamentarians. They advised for you to halt this implementation of the new curriculum, but you still went ahead to do the same. Will that put you at loggerheads with the parliamentarians?
No. It's not the first time that Parliament advises the executive maybe against doing certain things. And the role of Parliament in this case was simply advisory. And the executive has the freedom to take the advice or to not take it. But looking at the basis, the reasons why Parliament was proposing that we halt the implementation was based on wrong information.
What was that information?
Because they reasoned that we did not train the teachers, and teachers were not prepared for this curriculum. But of course, by the time they were debating this, NCDC was training 20,000 teachers across the country during that week. and we had already trained over 2,000 teachers to were used to train the rest of the teachers. They also said that we were concentrating mainly on government schools, but the training that we were conducted did not discriminate against private or government. We are taking all the schools equally, because after all, private and government are all teaching Ugandans. So that is the basis upon which they thought probably we were not prepared, but we are prepared.
So what are some of those factors that make you think as the NCDC that you're prepared for this new curriculum, despite what Parliament is saying?
Yes, first of all, we have developed the curriculum of the 21 subjects. That one is ready for use. We have made enough research on it. We have benchmarked in some countries. We have studied what is doable for Uganda. And remember, for the first time, this is the curriculum for Ugandans. We have been using the colonial masters curriculum. So we have developed a curriculum for the Ugandans this time. Then we have also trained the teachers. Teachers are very, very important in the implementation of the curriculum. And of course, we know that the training that we have conducted is not adequate. We are going to continue supporting the teachers. We are going to be moving to their schools to find out the challenges they are facing, and then we try to fix those challenges. We have developed textbooks, and publishers are also continuing to publish these textbooks, which I think by June these textbooks will be ready. But NCDC is ready to have this curriculum rolled out, because the prototypes are ready, which are going to kickstart the rollout of this.
So number one, what are those challenges that the teachers that are facing that you're willing to fix as NCDC? And number two, the issue of the textbooks. 4,000 schools have missed out on that rollout of the textbooks.
Well, the teachers, you know, this is a paradigm shift that we have made. And we know teachers will not have it all at once, because it takes time to adjust. We know teachers have been trained and in a curriculum that is teacher-centered, a curriculum that is heavily theoretical, a curriculum that emphasizes results. Now, this is what is in their mind, and we know it will take time to have their attitude disoriented from that kind of approach to learner-centered. Actually, even when we were training them, some teachers were asking us, but you are taking away authority from us. Because a teacher is supposed to go to the class having all the knowledge, but now we are going to have even learners contributing to the learning process. And they thought that by having a learner-centered method of delivery, it is one way of taking away the authority from the teacher. But this is just one other method of delivering education or delivering learning, because teachers, sometimes we assume that they are the fountain of knowledge. And yet, given the widespread of information this time, even the students know a lot of information about what they teach. So we know we shall have a challenge of having teachers move away from being teacher-centered to learner-centered. We shall have a challenge of having teachers de-emphasizing results as against skills, because the new curriculum is mainly emphasizing skills. So, and to have the skills, you must be with the learners. You have to look at the learners, how they develop. Those that are not developing the competences required, you help them until when they develop such kind of competences. And the teachers may not have the time that we need to have them have this curriculum rolled out as required.
So in this new curriculum, teachers will only be a source of reference for the students, while the students do the heavy lifting, which is research, and then come to the teacher just for reference issues.
Yes, the teachers in this new curriculum are facilitators. They are facilitators of the learning process, because they organize the materials upon which learners can learn, and also they introduce the material to be learned, the subject matter to be taught in the classroom. Then they allow the learners also to contribute to that, to contribute to what they know. And I want to assure you that once learners are involved in the learning, then they have a lasting memory about what they have learned.
Mr. Okumi,
they have a deeper understanding of what they have learned than when they are just told what they learned.
I'm so happy that you did mention that, because I can tell you verifiably 15 years ago, while I was still in the same process, I could tell you that the teachers told us we needed to actually veer away from the traditional way of studying or learning.
Yes.
And they told us, for us as the teachers, we are going to only be the points of reference. And they told us 80% of the research would have to be done by us, the students. Now remember, that wasn't in the curriculum. It was on the teachers to let the students know that, hey, you know what? The curriculum isn't working. And the only thing that can work is if us, the teachers, are the points of reference, you, the students, you go, you do the heavy lifting, the research, you interact with the world, and then you come back to me, the teacher, ask the questions, and I'll give you the answer. But the question is, this wasn't happening in other schools. It happened in some of the schools where you had teachers that cared for their students. And understood that the curriculum wasn't working. Now, my question to you, Mr. Okumu, why has it taken so long for this curriculum to be rolled out? It's been a long time coming.
Yes, it has been a long time. And of course, to roll out a curriculum in a country, it takes time. A country like ours, where we have so many competing agencies for the funding, you rarely get enough funding to roll out a curriculum. So we have been building the stamina, we have been building the resources to be there. That's why it has taken us some time to have the syllabuses ready, the textbooks ready, and even now,
Mr. Okumu,
the textbooks are not ready.
Are you sure the textbooks are ready?
They are ready, but of course they will not be enough for all the schools.
Because you had planned for 4,000 schools, now you discovered that there is another 4,000 schools that you need to cater for, which might be missing out.
Yes, that is an indication of a developing country.
Don't you? Isn't that an indication of poor planning?
No, it's an indication that our country is actually growing. Why? Because we planned for about 4,000 schools. But as we went to the field recently, there are many teachers who came out from unknown schools. Some schools are starting this year. We had not planned for this. So that is why we realized that we need some more textbooks. Yes.
And finally, we are wrapping up in a minute or two. Agriculture has been made very optional in this new curriculum. Now, keep in mind, 75% of our population, the people, are actually engaged in agriculture. What was the rationale that led to that?
Well,
shouldn't we be giving agriculture priority, just like mathematics and science?
In the current curriculum, agriculture is there as a menu, but many schools are not having it. In the current curriculum, it is there. It's not a question of making a subject compulsory that makes it contribute to the national economy. Even when it is an elective, schools should take it and implement it as practical. What is important is that the agriculture that has been designed now has to be taught in a practical approach, not just teaching agriculture per se in the classroom environment. And the reason we made it an elective is because you cannot make it compulsory in a situation where some of the schools are in urban settings, they are on flats, and you want agriculture to be practical. So how are those going to be, how are they going to implement agriculture when they are in flats? But of course, all in all, the schools that have enough resources, have enough land, they will have agriculture on their menu, and we shall advise them to make it as practical as possible.
Mr. Okumu, let's wrap up with this main issue. The teachers are not understanding the curriculum that is being taught. 800 of those teachers in Hoima said that they were not, first of all, getting the facilitation they needed. Second, they were not understanding what they were being taught from the new curriculum. What do you have to say about that?
Yes, I did not, of course I expected this to happen, because when Parliament suspended the curriculum on Monday, we had just started the training, and now the teachers were asking us, why are you wasting our time training us on a curriculum that has been suspended? The implication of this to a teacher, a professional teacher, is that the people you are going to teach are not going to pay attention. So the teachers who are saying they didn't understand, actually they were not paying attention. By those that paid attention, they have begun understanding it.
Mr. John Okumu, a curriculum specialist at the National Curriculum Development Center. Many thanks for having made the time to speak to NTV.
You're welcome, sir.
It's been a pleasure to have you come here to actually, there have been so many rumors on this curriculum and you've helped us put a lot into light. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're still watching Morning at NTV. Right about now, we are going to take a very short breather. Malak Kivila will be coming back with the next conversation. Keep it here.